So welcome back guys to another video of Lord of the Mysteries. Today we are going to read chapter number 12, which is called Here Again. And in the previous chapter we learned how to make mutton stew basically, and almost the whole chapter was about cooking. So I don't know what this chapter is going to show us about, but I'm excited to know. And I'm just waiting for the real excited part, the real part in which we are going to have fights and the thrilling part. That I'm waiting for that part. So let's just dive into it. Let me correct this. We are reading chapter number 12 here again. Okay, so let's go. Melissa, can you not rub my nose in it? Klein muttered inwardly. He felt a throbbing pain in his head. The amount of content Klein had forgotten was considered a lot, but neither was it negligible. The interview was in 2 days, so how could he find the time to make up for it? Furthermore, he was involved in such a strange paranormal activity, so how would it be possible that he would be in the mood to revise? Klein gave his sister a perfunctory, per- perfunctory response and began putting on the appearance of studying. Melissa moved a chair over to sit beside him. With light shining from the gas lamps, she began working on her assignments. The atmosphere was serene. When it was almost 11 o'clock, the siblings bade each other good night and went to bed. Knock, knock, knock. Pounding on the door roused Klein from his dreams. He peered out of the window to see the first glimmer of dawn in days. He flipped over and sat up. Who is it? Look at the time now. Why didn't Melissa wake me up? It's me, Dunn Smith. A man with a deep voice outside the door replied. Dunn Smith, don't know him. Klein got off his bed and shook his head as he walked towards the door. He opened the door to see the grey eyed police inspector whom he had met the first day before standing in front of him. Alarmed, Klein asked, Is there something wrong? The policeman replied with a stern look. We found a carriage driver. He testified that you had gone to Mr. Welch's place on the 27th, the day when Mr. Welch and Mrs. Naya died. Furthermore, Mr. Welch was the one who paid for your transportation fees. Klein was startled. He did not feel a tinge of fear or guilt that one would expect from having his lies exposed. It was because he was not even lying. In fact, he was surprised by the evidence proved by Dunn Smith. On the 27th of June, the former client had indeed gone to Mr. Welch's place. On the night that he returned, he killed himself in the exact same way as Welch and Naya did. Klein gave a forced smile and said, This is insufficient evidence. It does not directly prove that I am associated with the death of Welch and Naya. Honestly speaking, I am also very curious about the whole incident. I want to know what exactly happened to my two poor friends, but I really can't remember. In fact, I have almost completely forgotten what I had done on the 27th. You may find it hard to believe, but I fully relied on the diaries I had written to roughly make a guess that I had gone to Welch's place on the 27th. You sure have great mental fortitude, Dunsmith said while nodding. He showed not a trace of anger, nor was he smiling. You should be able to hear my sincerity. Klein looked him straight in the eye and said, I'm telling the truth, of course, only part of it. Dunsmith did not give an immediate response. He swept his gaze across the room before saying slowly, Mr. Welch lost a revolver. I guess I should be able to find it here. Right, Mr. Klein? Indeed, Klein finally understood where the revolver had come from. A thought flashed in his mind and he came to the final verdict in an instant. He raised his hands halfway and retreated, leaving a path open. Then he signaled to the bunk bed with his chin. behind the bedboard. He did not specifically mention that it was the bottom deck, as no one would normally hide things at the back of the bedboard on an upper deck. They would be too obvious for guests to notice at a glance. Dunn Smith did not move forward. The corners of his mouth twitched as he asked. Nothing to add on. Without hesitation, Klein replied, "There is. Yesterday, when I woke up in the middle of the night, I realized I was lying on my desk with a revolver beside me. There was a bullet at the corner of the room. It was as if I had committed suicide. But due to a lack of experience of never having used a gun, or maybe I was too scared at the final moment. Anyways, the bullet did not achieve the desired result. My head is still in its place. I am still alive now. And since then, I have lost some memories, including what I saw and what did at Welch's place on the 27th. I am not lying, I really can't remember. For the sake of being eliminated as a suspect, for the sake of getting rid of all these strange events surrounding him, Klein explained almost everything that had happened except the transmigration and gathering. Also, Klein was careful with his words, allowing every sentence to be amenable, such as not revealing the fact that the bullet had hit his brains, but only mentioned that it did not achieve the desired result, and that his head was still in its place. To others, the two statements might seem to convey the exact same ideas, but in reality, they were like chalk and cheese. Dunn Smith listened quietly, then said, "This corresponds with what I had summarized. It also responds to with the it also corresponds with the hidden logic of similar incidents in the past. Of course, I have no idea how you managed to survive. I'm glad you believe in me. I don't know how I survived either." Klein heaving a small sigh of relief. But Dunn threw out a conjunction. "There is no use in me believing you. You are currently the prime suspect. You have to be confirmed by an expert that you have indeed forgotten what you went through, or that you indeed have nothing to do with the deaths of Mr. Welch and Miss Naya." He coughed, his expression becoming serious. "Mr. Klein, I seek your cooperation on coming with us to the police station for an investigation. This should take roughly 2 to 3 days if it is confirmed that there were no issues with you." The expert is here?" Klein asked blankly in return. "Didn't they say it would take another 2 days?" "She came earlier than expected." Dunn turned sideways, signaling for Klein to leave. "Allow me to leave a note," Klein requested. Benson was still away and Melissa had gone to school. He could only leave a note to inform them that he was involved in an incident associated with Welch so that they would not worry about him. Dunn nodded, barely minding. "All right." Klein returned to his desk. As he searched for paper, he began thinking about what was about to occur. Honestly speaking, he did not wish to meet the expert. After all, he had a bigger secret. In place where there were 7 major churches, under the premise that Emperor Rosal, who was suspected to be a transmigrator predecessor, was assassinated, a thing like transmigration usually meant having to go to court and enter arbitration. Oh, wait a minute, I am hearing voices behind me. Let me correct them. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue reading. In place where okay, I have read that part. But without weapons, combat skills, or superpowers, he was no match for a professional policeman. What's more, a few of Dunn's subordinates were standing in the dark outside. Once they drew their guns and shoot at me, I will be finished. I will take one step at a time. Klein left the note, grabbed his keys, and followed Dunn out of the room. Along the dark aisles, 4 policemen in black and white checkered uniforms split into pairs and guarded them on both sides. They were very alert. Tap, tap, tap. Klein followed alongside Dunn as they went down the wooden stairs, which occasionally creaked in protest. Outside the apartment, there was a four-wheeled carriage. On the side of the carriage, there was the two crossed swords and a crown, police emblem. Their surroundings were crowded and bustling with noise as usual. Go on up, Dunn signaled for Klein to go first. Klein was just about to step forward when an oyster seller suddenly grabbed a customer and claimed that he was a thief. Both parties wrestled and triggered a response from the horse, causing great chaos. An opportunity. There wasn't much time for Klein to think any further. He bent forward and dashed towards the crowd. Either shoving or dodging, he escaped frantically towards the other end of the street. Right now, for the sake of not meeting the expert, he could only proceed by going into the pier outside of the city. Taking a boat down to Tusrock River and escaping to the capital, Buckland. The population was higher there, making it easier to hide. Of course, he could also get on a steam train, go eastward to the nearest Imat harbor, and take the sea road to Brits, then towards Buckland. Not long after, Klein arrived at a street and made a turn into Iron Cross Street. There were several carriages that could be hired. To the pier outside the city, Klein reached out his hand and hopped into one of the carriages. He had thought though things clearly. First, he had to mislead the police that were coming for him. Once the carriage was a suitable distance away from them, he would jump right off. Alright, the carriage driver tugged at the reins. Clop, clop, clop. The carriage left the Iron Cross Street. Just as Klein was about to jump off the carriage, he noticed that it had turned into another road. It wasn't leading out of the city. Where are you going? Klein blurted in his monumentary days. To Welch's place. The carriage driver answered monotonously. What? Klein was at loss for words. The carriage driver turned around and exposing his cold grey eyes, it was Dunn Smith, the grey-eyed policeman. You. Klein was flustered. Everything suddenly became a blur as though the world spun around him when he instantly sat up. Sat up. Klein looked around confused. He noticed the crimson moon outside the window and the room being covered in a crimson veil. He reached out his hand to feel his forehead. It was all moist and cold, cold sweat. His back felt exactly the same. It was a nightmare. Klein heaved a sigh. All is well, all is well. He found it weird that he was rather clear minded in his dreams. He was even able to think calmly. After calming down, Klein looked at his pocket watch. It was only 2 in the morning. He got out of bed quietly and planned to head to the washroom where he could wash his face and empty his burgeoning bladder. He walked. He opened the door and walked along the dark corridor. Under the dim moonlight, he walked lightly towards the washroom. Suddenly, he noticed a silhouette outside the window at the end of a corridor. The silhouette was wearing a black windbreaker that was shorter than a coat but longer than a jacket. The silhouette was partially camouflaged in the darkness, bathing in the crimson moonlight. The silhouette turned around slowly, his eyes deep, grey, and cold. Dunn Smith. That's the end of the chapter. It was a short chapter, I would say. For Lord of the Mysteries, it was a relatively short chapter, but I really liked this chapter. It was amazing. I mean, we got to we got introduced to a new character, Dunn Smith, and from the looks of it, he has some kinds of powers. He like mental manipulation or some kind of something like that. I don't know. Oh, the next chapter is also a small one. I will record that after this video, but it was a great chapter, and I am finally liking the fact that we are getting some action in this series. I was getting a bit bored till now, but now I'm liking the fact because we are getting some action in this series. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked this video, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing the channel. And I am going to live stream these reactions when I hit 100 subscribers, and Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.